If you remember and apply this acronym to your life, you will see changes probably faster than you think that you could. The acronym is VAVA. It's VAVA. It stands for visualization, affirmation, verbalization, and acting as if. Pretty self-explanatory, so this is probably going to be a shorter video, but I wanted to just come on here and explain this. So visualization, first and foremost, is very straightforward. It's using our imagination to visualize, to create images, pictures, movies in our minds of the things that we want to experience. Now, there's a lot of science behind this. One example that I'll give you is there was a study, I don't know the name of the study, but there was a study that took two different groups trying to learn the piano. The first group was playing the piano, learning to play the keys, actually physically touching the keyboard. And the second group was learning how to play, but just visualizing it in their minds. They never actually touched a piano. This went on for a couple of weeks, and basically the conclusion of the study is that both groups, the one that was physically touching the keyboards and learning how to play the piano, and the ones that was imagining it in their minds of touching the keyboard, playing the piano, but just doing it in their imagination, visualizing it, had about the same amount of growth, the same amount of understanding when it came to actually playing things on the keyboard. And the significance of that, basically, there's a lot of other studies that have shown similar things, but basically it proves that your mind, your brain, your body, your nervous system can't tell the difference between something that you are experiencing in your external reality and something that you vividly imagine. Now, what's the significance of that? Basically, we're able to condition ourselves with our imagination, with visualization, into a different life. So if you've always struggled with money, or if you've always struggled with relationships, maybe it's still that way in your outside world and you're not necessarily able to change it right this moment. And so to condition yourself, condition your mind, start attracting these things into your life, you can start visualizing. You can visualize a certain amount of money in your bank account. You can visualize, if you're a man, maybe women coming up and talking to you. If you're a woman, maybe men coming up and approaching you in public, complimenting you, these kinds of things. And when you are fully present with it and it becomes really vivid, that's when your mind, your body can't tell the difference. And so when it comes to visualization, when it comes to all these things, it's consistency and practice and repeating it enough to build that muscle. Similar to going to the gym, you're not going to be curling, 50 pounds when you first go in there. You'll start at 10, 15 maybe. You got to get your reps in to build the muscle. It's the same with our minds. So practicing visualization conditions your mind to literally believe whatever you're thinking, whatever you're visualizing has already happened. And then it brings up feelings of gratitude, feelings of just fulfillment, happiness, that those things over time is what changes you, which is what attracts new things into your life. Because when it comes to manifestation, like creating your reality, it's not about the outside world, it's about changing yourself. And visualization is a great way to do that. The second one, affirmation, another great way to do that. Personally, one of my favorites. I'm working on practicing visualization more, but like I said, that is a skill. And it's a muscle to grow through repeated practicing of it. Affirmations, on the other hand, we've been doing that our whole lives. And you think things all throughout the day. The affirmation is basically a thought, and it's accessible 24/7, 365, except for when you're sleeping. I mean, none of these things are really accessible when you're sleeping, but you can listen to affirmations, while you're sleeping. That's one thing that works too. But the power of affirmations is kind of similar to what I just described in visualization, that your mind basically just accepts, believes, and surrenders to whatever you feed it. And the subconscious mind learns through repetition. It learns through, when we're younger, like modeling people's behavior. But the main other way it learns as we become adults, as we get older, is repetition. Now, if you're old enough, you've been driving a car, you think back to the first time you ever got in a car and you're like, oh my God, holy shit. Maybe it's a little intimidating. If you're out there on the road, you're really thinking about, okay, I got to press the gas pedal not too fast, not too slow. Okay, now I got to hit the brake. If I'm about to turn left, turn the left signal on, look over, make sure nobody's coming, make sure nobody's coming this way, that way, turn. After you've done it for a couple of years, especially if you've been doing it for like over a decade like me, it's completely automatic now. Like I just can drive wherever and not think about it. Now, if I'm going somewhere new, I'm paying attention to like, okay, do I got to turn here? Do I got to turn here? But my point is that it's all automatic. You're not thinking about every little individual thing because you've done it so many times that you've programmed your subconscious mind. Same with walking. When we were first learning how to walk when we were kids, we're like, whether we're thinking about it in this way or not, whether we have the ability to yet or not, we're thinking, okay, like, oh, like left foot, right foot. Now we don't think about walking. We're just, hey, I want to go over there. Body takes us over there. And it's the same thing with our mind. Our mind loves what's familiar. And that's what I love about affirmations is that whatever you've been thinking, usually conditioned to think and believe throughout your younger years, and as you got older, whatever you think about on a consistent basis is what becomes familiar to your mind. So if you're thinking about negative things, complaining, most people do, that's what becomes familiar. And then that's what your mind naturally gravitates towards. There is a human tendency, especially mentally, to sink to the level of what we're familiar with rather than rise to the level of what we want, which is why so many people don't experience the lives that they want, is because it does take effort. I'm not going to lie. Like, it's super simple. All you have to do is change your thoughts. If you think negatively about yourself, start telling yourself how much you love yourself. It's that simple. But in reality, it can be hard because we've been thinking this way for so long. It's like breaking these habits is what it is. It's creating a new habit of thought. And this, over time, there's a lot of science around this, creates new neural pathways that physically changes your brain, which then affects who you are, your identity, the way that you think about yourself. All of that affects the actions you take, the results you get, the beliefs you hold about yourself, which is what ultimately allows us to transform our lives from the inside out. Third letter, which is the second V, stands for verbalization. I don't need to go too much into detail about this because it's basically affirmations but saying them out loud. Now, good times to do this. You don't really want to do this around other people unless maybe you feel comfortable doing it around your partner, for example, which can be really powerful. Saying it to each other, that's great. If you have that relationship, like, fuck yeah, keep it up. That's awesome. But usually you're just going to say this to yourself. You can do it in a mirror if you want, but usually I just do it when I'm driving. That's a really good time to verbalize your affirmations, telling yourself, I love myself. I'm valuable. I deserve, peace, wealth, love, success, happiness, abundance, whatever it is. If you need help with affirmations, you can comment below. I'll share some with you, but ChatGPT, look it up. There's tons of them out there. Just figure out, same with the verbalization, saying it out loud, same with the affirmations. Just figure out what area of your life you want to focus on right now and focus on that. And what I would recommend, number one thing to focus on first and foremost is your self-concept, which is how do you view yourself? It's a very simple one. I've already mentioned it, but is telling yourself, I love myself. I like myself. I like myself. I love myself. Over and over again. You'll start to feel it eventually. Some people will feel it in a couple of minutes, some in a couple of weeks. But eventually you will start to feel like, yes, I love myself. And that is the foundation of our lives, is the way that we feel about ourselves. And the fourth letter, the second A in VAVA, is act as if. Now, it's also kind of straightforward. All these are pretty straightforward, but act like the person that you want to become. And so let's say, for example, you have had the goal to lose weight or gain muscle, and to do that, you need to start working out. You need to start going to the gym. You need to start exercising, being more active, eating healthier. Before you see the results. This is how everything works. Before you see any results, you have to change yourself. You can't just go around repeating, "Oh, I'm skinny," or I'm like, I'm jacked. But then you eat shitty food and you sit on the couch all day, like nothing's gonna change. That's why this last one is probably one of the most important ones because it ties everything together. And this is what brings it into really the three-dimensional, into our physical world is acting as if. So if you want to lose weight, if you want to gain muscle, those are just super easy examples that I like to use. You visualize yourself at your perfect physique, whatever it is you want. You affirm, like, I'm strong, I'm healthy, I'm fit, I feel great in my body, I look amazing. You verbalize that out loud to yourself as well. And then most importantly, you act as if. So if you are jacked, if you are, a person that weighs 30 pounds less, 50 pounds less, whatever, how do you act? Now, if you're eating junk food every day, if you're sitting on the couch, if you don't exercise, if you get like 1,000 steps every day, those are things that, somebody with your perfect ideal weight doesn't do. What do? They eat healthier. Sure, maybe they eat junk food every now and then. Nobody's perfect, but they really focus on eating healthier as much as they can. They go to the gym or at least get some kind of exercise a couple times a week. They make sure to get a certain amount of steps in. I don't think you need like 10,000 steps, just whatever you feel like you need. If you're at 1,000 a day right now, get to 2,000. It's just about getting a little better every day. That's what all of this is about as well, getting a little bit better every day. And if you're the jacked guy, if you're a man, you want to gain more muscle, you want to put on size, like you got to start going to the gym. No question about it. You have to act as the person who has more muscle. What does the person who has more muscle do? They love going to the gym. Now, maybe you're not going to love it at first, but you act as if, you visualize it, you affirm it, you verbalize those affirmations out loud to yourself, and you can stay consistent with the actions and going to the gym, eating healthier, and all of this, especially with having positive self-talk. That is how you achieve transformation in your life, whether it's a physical transformation, an emotional transformation. If you're depressed, what do depressed people do? They have like this slouched posture. They kind of look down. They probably don't socialize very much throughout the day. They lay in bed a lot. They likely eat shitty foods, watch a lot of content, very negative self-talk. And so to overcome depression, you visualize yourself living your dream life, just being a happier person, socializing, having more friends. You affirm that you love yourself, that you're valuable, that you love your life. Verbalize those things out loud to yourself as much as you can throughout the day. And then you act as if. So you fix your posture. You start treating yourself like you love yourself. You eat healthier. You exercise. Now, if your goal is not to get jacked, you don't have to go to the gym necessarily, but you move your body. You socialize with people. You get out of your comfort zone. You get off of your fucking phone. Stop scrolling. You start doing things that bring you joy. Whether it's creating art, whether it's going out in nature, whether it's socializing with friends, getting together with friends, whether it's going out in nature. I think I already said that. But you do things that bring you joy, even when you don't feel like it. And that's the thing. When you act as if that is who you are now. And for the person that wants to lose weight, for the person that wants to gain muscle, for the person that wants to get out of their sad, depressive state, the version of yourself who is in the body that you want, who is in the mindset that you want, they show up for themselves every single day, no matter how they feel, no matter how the thoughts tell them, oh no, it's okay, just skip a day, like it doesn't matter, we'll just do it tomorrow. They have the habits of taking care of themselves in the ways that have led them to become skinnier, more muscle, happier. You get the point. So repeating these things, visualization, affirmation, verbalization, and most importantly, acting as if. There's a quote from the Bible, I believe it's from Job. I don't know the exact chapter and verse, but it says, faith without works is dead. Faith is visualization, affirmation, verbalization, believing that you can change yourself, that you can experience a different life. But if you don't act as if you don't have the works, the action, then the faith that you've built is dead. It doesn't matter. And so follow these 4 steps to change literally any area of your life. Now focus on 1, maybe 2 areas of your life at a time. Don't overwhelm yourself. And one thing that everybody should almost always focus on, unless you've built it up to such a high level, is your self-concept. Build up the love you have for yourself, because the more you love yourself, the more you respect yourself, the more you trust yourself, the more you value yourself, the easier it is to show up for yourself every day and be disciplined and be consistent. And that is the key, my friends, to personal transformation, to changing yourself, and ultimately creating a new life for yourself. So thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. And don't forget to go touch some grass.